Hey, thanks for checking out The Solid Verbal. Now would be a great time to subscribe to the channel for college football content all off season long.
Where do you want to go next?
Let's go Oklahoma. Let's go Oklahoma because it's been a school that, I mean, look, you're talking about Deion Sanders and Coach Prime in Colorado. I think Brent Venables was just he threw shade at, I think, Deion Sanders and also Mario Cristobal, I want to say, in his time.
Threw some elbows. Some elbows.
So let's talk Oklahoma. They've been recruiting well, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, 6-6 last year. Lost the bowl game to Florida State. Their first losing season, so they finished 6-7 overall. First losing season since all the way back in 1998, which was not the future that I think Oklahoma fans had envisioned when they hired one of their own in Brent Venables. That was kind of a black guy. Now, the over-under this season is 9.5. Obviously, Vegas is expecting something of a bounce back, and it's not hard to envision why. I can talk through a million reasons why, but the most fascinating thing is the problem from last season. Specifically, how long it takes Brent Venables, I think, to figure out the problem on defense. And specifically to come to my conclusion, Dan, because I'm the only one who knows why, the reason was that he wasn't running it, okay? It's very simple.
Yeah.
This is why it was not good. What I found most fascinating this offseason is nobody really knows the precise reason why Oklahoma's defense didn't work last season. Everybody's got a theory, though, right?
Okay.
I've got a theory. Every site you read has a theory out there. It was, to be clear, a universal failure on the defensive side of the ball. So was it the scheme? Was it the coaching? Was it the players themselves? The numbers were bad. I mean, I can sit here and read off numbers if you want. They underperformed projections 8 out of 13 games. And when they fell short, they really fell short.
Yep.
Like 6 of those games were by double digits in terms of, again, the defensive projection. Blitzes didn't get home. The tackle success rate was really bad, 116th nationally. They were bad in the red zone. They were 125th nationally in percentage of passes where the opponent was deemed wide open. If you want a deep cut.
I like that.
So just a lot went wrong.
Well, one might argue that an Oklahoma defense being disappointing and leaky is the most Oklahoma thing, that Brent Venables truly embodied what an Oklahoma head coach should bring to the table, a disappointing defense, right?
True to the brand.
Yeah.
Exactly. We had Eddie Radosevich from Sooner Scoop on our show months ago, and we poked at this a little bit. And we said, why didn't this work? And he basically gave us the shrug emoji. You know, Eddie, who's as in the know as anybody with respect to Oklahoma football, he didn't know. You know, it's there. Everybody's got a theory. Nobody really knows exactly why. But what we do know is that the presumed best defensive coordinator in America getting the head job at your school should not lead a defensive unit that is 70th overall.
Right.
That can't happen. My theory, as I said from the mountaintop, and I will say until I'm blue in the face, is that Brent Venables, in figuring out on his own how to be a head coach, gave way too much responsibility to Ted Roof.
Well, sure.
And I'm sure Ted Roof is a great guy. Everybody seems to like him. He's never had trouble getting work. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just not good at this anymore.
Brings warm cookies to his interviews. Yeah.
He's not good at this anymore, Dan. It's been 15 years since Ted Roof was good at this.
Yeah.
He's not good at coaching defense any longer. My friends and I still text about the leaky roof years at Penn State. Oklahoma fans, you can borrow that if you want. It's fine. It's fine. That is my theory as to where it went wrong. And I give Brent Venables the benefit of the doubt because I think he will figure it out. I think he's a sharp guy, obviously knows how to coach defense. But I think the longer we go without him just sort of taking away that responsibility from Ted Roof, the worse off Oklahoma will be. Maybe that's already happened in the offseason. You know,
right.
He's kind of played coy with what responsibilities are and aren't for his staff, especially on defense. But that, to me, I think has got to be the problem. Just get him away from the defense, man. Get him away. Let Brent Venables call it. We know he can do that. He's got that track record. For what it's worth, nobody's really panicking. And that I see that as a good sign. The recruits aren't panicking either out of high school
No.
or via the transfer portal. Oklahoma had the number 4 high school recruiting class. 8 of their top 10 guys were defenders. They also had the number 9 transfer class with, I think, 6 starters being pulled from other Power 5 rosters. So guys still want to play for Brent Venables, still want to play for this defense. One down year, which to be fair was like on the same footing as where Lincoln Riley was before he left.
Right.
It just didn't live up to Venables' expectations. 1 year like that isn't going to scare guys away. And so on paper, they're talented and they're very deep. And I think Brent Venables is going to figure it out pretty quickly that it's not a talent problem. It's we need better guys calling the plays. So that, to me, that's the point of intrigue for Oklahoma. I don't know if I played the ding, but the ding is the problem itself. The problem was unexpected last season. We didn't necessarily see it coming. I don't think he handled it well, but I'm willing to give him a free pass because he's Brent Venables. That dude knows how to coach defense.
So what you're saying is a roster of players who were very rarely good at playing defense before Brent Venables arrived were also disappointing on defense when Brent Venables arrived.
I believe that's accurate, yeah.
Because you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not sure why. Did they go after a bunch of dudes in the portal this year?
They did. No, they were very aggressive in the portal.
Okay.
They're very aggressive in the portal.
Obviously, they'll try to get freshmen in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, look, they are deeper and more talented this year on defense. And so whenever your high school recruiting class has that strong of an emphasis on the defensive side of the ball, there's no two ways about it. Brent Venables looked at the talent, and he said, we need to get better. We need to improve. Now, I don't know.
Right.
You'd have to ask him what he sees in this new crop of guys coming in via high school, via the transfer portal. But that was clearly an area of focus. If nothing more, he's going to root out talent as the cause for any kind of defensive lapses because they're really good. They're really good from a talent standpoint on that side of the ball.
It did seem like they were taking steps forward like 2/3 of the way into the season, but then they had it was a shootout against Texas Tech to finish out this season, so wasn't completely finished. So I'm with you. I think it'll improve. I think the recruiting, they've always recruited well though, right? Like Lincoln Riley and Bob Stoops brought in a lot of, blue chip type defensive talent and guys that were drafted from disappointing defenses. So I guess it's whether it's Brent Venables, whether it's Ted Roof, if somebody needs to put everything together and figure things out and how to get the most out of the players that they do have, because you're right, they should have a deep defense these next couple years based on what they're doing. The
recruiting's been incredible, which actually brings me to a second point, if I can make another point.
Please.
Point number 8 here in the Big 12. We're up to 8 already.
Please.
The second most fascinating thing to keep an eye on at Oklahoma is their pool of talent at quarterback. And what I think it could mean for their scheme and Jeff Lebby. Last year, bear in mind, Dillon Gabriel went down, and it was Davis Bevel for part of the TCU game and all of the Texas game where they got shut out 49-0.
Yeah.
This year, it's Jackson Arnold, who was, I believe, the number 2 quarterback in the previous class, waiting in the wings. I think it changes the calculus a little bit. There are more guys behind him, right? I think that changes the calculus a little bit because last season, at least down the stretch, I think they were afraid to use Dillon Gabriel for what he's really good at. He's a hell of a runner.
Yeah, or at least, rolling out and buying himself time and improvising. Yeah.
Either they were afraid to call some of the plays to put him in that position, or he was tentative about doing it because he got hurt previously. But I would like to see Dillon Gabriel on the move a little bit more because he's such a good runner. Mm-hmm. They put him on the move. Maybe they're more inclined to put him on the move now that they've got better depth behind him and have to worry about him getting hurt because they like what they have behind him. I just think that's a possibility that in going through the depth chart and what they did last season and how it looked down the stretch when things really kind of bottomed out, that to me, I think is an intriguing possibility. So, on the whole, my take with Oklahoma is there's no reason really to be that concerned about the offense. There was a bit of a step back last season, but Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams and Mario, like all these guys left. So of course there's going to be something of a step back. They just weren't as talented, but still they were 10th in the country. So they're fine. They're good. They'll be just as good again. The reality though is that Oklahoma just wasn't good enough on offense alone to roll, through that schedule. This season, I think they'll be good enough on offense to probably roll 11 of the defenses on their schedule. It's a really good schedule. And there are probably only 4 or 5 opponents that scare me in terms of being able to score on what Oklahoma has.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the over 9.5 here, and I feel good about it. I think anything short of 9-3 with this team with this schedule is an abject failure.
How many good quarterbacks are on their schedule as you see it? I guess depending on what you think about Preston Stone Preston they play SMU, correct? Oklahoma does. There may be 2, and that's a maybe. So they have Jalen Daniels and Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers was a pretty awful second half quarterback, especially in the fourth quarter. Jalen Daniels, I think, is full on really good. But you look at the list of quarterbacks that an aspiring, competent Oklahoma defense has to face.
Yeah, you have to broaden it. You can't just look in terms of quarterbacks, because the quarterback class at the very top of the Big 12, I think, is pretty slim. Like the really top tier.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, we don't know about Chandler Morris, and they miss Will Howard. And so it's a pretty good place to be. I guess if you're an Alan Bowman believer, British comedy legend Alan Bowman, but like, it's a slapper's row. I don't know.
It's a beautiful schedule. It's a beautiful schedule. That's why
good.
I say anything short of 9-3 is a failure.
I'm with you.